Alright guys, time to grab here back again today. Heavily enjoying your day so far, and today we're going to discuss a very interesting topic which Looney brought up on the Bricecast very recently. He was discussing how a lot of pros and a lot of fans have a very different perception of exactly what professional players do, and well, how I suppose good they are at the game. He says that Slacked would definitely be at the top of his list as someone he would want to pick up, someone of course who's teamed with Octane in the past and had a lot of success, as we'll look at over the coming minutes, but he's also concerned that for a lot of the general managers in the game right now that really don't have too much understanding of actually, well, how Call of Duty works, that fans are significantly influencing their perceptions. Slacked is hardly the most popular player among the community right now, and well, Looney was certainly getting some backlash when it was announced he was joining the Seattle Surge. How much impact do fans have on what the teams actually think? Should they have any impact at all? And well, at least from how good the actual player is and how good the team is going to be from that kind of perspective, and how much sway do they potentially have when teams start underperforming? And well, fans are saying things on Twitter, and does that affect exactly how the team looks going forward? I certainly think it's something a consideration that could be at the back of the mind of some of these general managers. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below on this one. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, this from credits to the Intel. We talked a couple of days ago about Attach leaking this, Esports reveal. What exactly is that going to be? And well, as he says right here, Slasher reckons that it's not a competitive showcase. He says he would not describe it like that. It's something else, which I imagine will be coming relatively soon. So we'll have to stay tuned for how this goes. Atlanta FaZe are also hosting a throwback tourney this weekend, so 23rd of October to the 25th, and well, these are the teams. Pretty stacked, quite frankly. You've got the entire FaZe clan lineup. This is what's pretty cool about this, in that a lot of these teams are actually just the starting lineup. I believe that Prolute is going to be playing for Formula on the first day because he's got some other tourney going on. Surge are playing without Octane, but pretty much, well, a fair number of these teams are actually the teams from the CDL. You got the Gorillas with Apahe rather than Apathy on the team, and Optic Gaming don't have, well, they don't actually have a fourth yet, so they've just got Accuracy in the lineup. Good friends with Kenny, of course. So yeah, pretty cool. Unfortunately, Empire doesn't have Shotzi and Crimsix. They've got Critical instead, and Tempest here, but still some pretty damn nice teams. Well, we'll have to see who wins it. I think it's like a full 16 team like CWL style tournament where you've got like 4 groups of 4 teams, and you've got an amateur bracket as well where people can play, and it's honestly, it should be really cool to get to see some of these teams in action in a 4 versus 4 Black Ops 4 environment, which might play pretty well. But this is what I wanted to discuss then, the fan and the desk's perspective on how good players are, because also what Looney does discuss is how well the desk has some impact as well on well, how fans and how teams perceive these players. The analyst desk, if someone isn't performing, they're going to talk about it, right? In this past season, certainly on the on the Seattle Surge, for example, somebody helped Sam became the thing, and everyone was kind of talking about on the desk how like everyone else on the team is trash and it's just all Octane putting up the numbers, which isn't necessarily the perspective of a number of the pro players, and they're thinking that this kind of perception within the community, what the analyst desk says about certain teams, influences what fans have to say, and then indirectly influences what decisions teams actually make going forwards. And this is just a tongue-in-cheek remark from way back in 2018, but it kind of gets the point across that Slacked hasn't exactly been well respected on the LS desk, let's say, over the last season or so, and as a result of that, or at least as partially as a result of that, fans look at Slacked and maybe underrate him to some degree compared to what he actually does contribute to a team, and maybe that does then influence some of the decisions of actually the professional teams. We certainly saw it this season with Mutineers picking up Awakening, and then as a result of that, we had the drama as Slacked was calling him, saying he used a strike pack or whatever. It's a similar situation happened with Mac Melts as well, so he ended up tweeting this out about how it dug it on Slacked, and TJ says, do something on LAN before you talk trash, brother. Someone had to say, guys got an ego over online matches, and this kind of stuff didn't necessarily make make the community at wide like Slacked, and it seemed like the majority of people's perspective was, okay, like, come on, give Mac a chance or whatever. He hasn't really even got the chances to play on LAN yet, and I suppose this kind of tweet definitely doesn't lend itself necessarily to fans getting on your good side, and as a result of that, does that contribute to what teams actually do in terms of their pickups? I'll roll a couple of clips here.
Fans, for example, like a lot of fans are like, what the hell how is Looney on a team? He played for 3 events, dropped 0.8, and somehow he's teaming with Octane or whatever the case is. It's just because pros have a different view. Like me, I am mind blown beyond belief that Slack's not on a team. Beyond belief. Like he should have been sought after as soon as Seattle said they weren't signing him. Like by everyone. Like Florida, LAG, whoever needed a team, they should have just hit up Slack. Like, so pros just view player stocks way different than fans. But
do you think that's a big problem though? Because we know, and obviously, like if you're an owner of a franchise, you kind of have to balance expectations as well. Because you know if you make a bad signing as an owner, fans going to be down your neck. Like, they're going to be just full of it. We've seen it, right? Teams haven't announced shit, and teams are going at people like Paris, at London. Like, they're just getting so much vitriol coming down the timeline.
Yeah.
They're probably worried about it. Do you ever, like, sit there as a pro and be like, I don't know how... Because Crimsix came to your defense, I believe. I think it was Crim.
Yeah.
Crim said, hey, man,
Crim's
you guys need to back off because he's better than any of you are giving credit for. Do you ever worry about that dynamic, though, that fans start dictating teams?
Yeah, I mean, like kind of you said, they're just very vocal, right? But the internet gives everyone a voice, so they can just simply tweet at Seattle Surge, "Wow, I can't believe you picked up Looney," and then like, who knows? Like after the first event, if I underperform a little bit or something like that, I drop a 0.8 or 0.9 and whatever the case may be, and they have 100 fans tweeting them, that could influence them. I don't know. Like that's probably another issue, right? Is they just keep getting tweets like, "This player sucks. How is he still starting? How is this guy starting? How is this guy starting?" And they're just like, "Oh my god, like." Does this guy suck? Like, should I bench him? Like, you don't know the influence of everything, especially with like GMs right now. I don't know all the GMs, but or some might not even have GMs.
Yeah, some are more forward facing than others, I think. Some of them are
like a lot of the people that are in power don't know much about COD.
But what is the correct way to do it? Because if I said something negative about a player, like sometimes, you know, a more popular player especially can just body me on the timeline, regardless of how correct I am. Right? I could be 100% bona fide correct, right? And they can just say, "You don't know anything, shut up." And it's difficult. It is difficult, you know. Even an educated person myself who's been around for a decade of Call of Duty to express an opinion when maybe they don't have it, maybe it's speculative, true. To bring criticism to players, because I think it is a necessary thing in Call of Duty. You have to bring players down in terms of, you know, reputation, to allow them to be built back up, to create storylines. Because if it's just two good teams going against each other and they all could be good, it'll be great fun. Like, how do I differentiate whether or not somebody's having a redemption? Like I said, see, your team's a great example, right? If you guys had all done, you know, okay last year and hadn't had all these storylines, it would be a less interesting team. You would have a less interesting storyline for people to engage with.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Obviously, Nameless is on the desk. He's been on the desk now for like 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
So he's the one that has obviously like a line of communication with pros because he's been a player. We've talked about it with him a lot, and he just like, it's just tough. Like in reality, kind of like you said, not all of you guys are good. Like to that standard, at least. So like at some times we're gonna have to call whoever's underperforming trash. But like,
so Slacked, of course, has been around a very long time. He's won a number of events. You can see way back to, the Advanced Warfare days, MES Detroit, on Elevate, and, UMG South Carolina as well at the start of Black Ops 3. Then into Infinite Warfare, had some decent success on Luminosity Gaming at the end on the Anaheim Open. Certainly a player that I think a lot of pro players would consider relatively underrated. I mean, Classic, Octane, and Saints, of course, were very, very good on this Luminosity squad, but Slacked kind of did what was necessary, and there's no doubt that he has won championships over multiple titles, third of the World Championship in Infinite Warfare, won the Northern Arena Showdown, but also the Birmingham event that I attended back in 2018 on the World War II days when John was on the team and JCat was on the team. So, I mean, not the deadliest team on paper, but Slack definitely got the job done. Also, you guys might remember at the World Championship, they placed top 6, but Slack clutched a 1 versus 2 against Rise Nation on Valkyrie Search and Destroy Game 5 to knock them out of the tournament. So he's definitely had some big moments throughout his career, but, hasn't necessarily got on the right side of fans over the last couple of seasons. Again, into Black Ops 4, wins an event at Fort Worth. So it's got to be said that despite not being the biggest name on paper or whatever, he definitely does have a knack of winning events. This season on Seattle Surge, though, obviously was, nothing of the sort. And you can see that some of the replies to the Seattle Surge's squad when Looney was confirmed were relatively similar, right? Like, Looney is going to cost, and some other fans saying some similar things. And you might look at Looney and Pristini as your SMG duo and think, like, how well do they match up against some of the other SMG duos in the game? But Looney, to me, does make a lot of sense. His history with Gunless, his history with Octane in maybe a slower 4 versus 4 traditional Call of Duty environment like we've had back in the World War II days, Looney can definitely be a very serviceable player, and I can see why they want to pick him up and why these pros value his contribution very highly indeed. And maybe something that the fans don't necessarily see, and at the same time you've then got to ask, well, why isn't Slacks getting picked up? And if you look through Looney's career, it looks relatively similar to Slacks, to be honest, back in Advanced Warfare, winning DreamHack Summer 2015, UMG South Carolina alongside Slacks back on this Rise Nation squad, and through to Infinite Warfare, winning Las Vegas Vegas on the Rise Nation team as well. Then in World War II, Rise Nation actually became pretty good. You can see, like, you know, some first places scattered in here with Looney, just like you do with Slacked, right? So, of course, if Looney's going to get picked up, where is the question mark? And he wasn't even on the starting team, frankly, this season on Toronto Ultra, apart from at the very beginning after Atlanta. Then he got dropped to the bench and never got his opportunity back in the starting lineup. But this definitely brings up the question, if Looney's getting a spot on Seattle Surge, does Slacked also deserve a spot in the league? He's won many championships over many years, and does the fan perception of Slacked, like if someone picks up Slacked right now, you can guarantee there's going to be replies in the comments saying, you know, this guy's washed or whatever, doesn't deserve this spot, XYZ player should have got a spot instead. And of course, it's a very competitive environment right now with only 12 teams in a 4 versus 4 setting. So yeah, very frustrating for a lot of these pro players that are, well, having difficult times actually securing jobs for this season. And what would Slacked even do for this upcoming season if he doesn't get a spot, right? Is he just going to play through the challenger side? Would you actually prefer to play through the challenger side than get a substitute spot? Because if you're a substitute, are you really going to get subbed in that often? Are they really going to try you out? I mean, possibly. And you can argue there's even more money to be won in the challenger side if you actually do start dominating some of these events. But yeah, certainly going to be an absolute gauntlet in there this season. And as Looney says, some of the general managers on this team, I believe Seattle Surge, this guy called Bob, I think he used to work with like the MLG guys, but he doesn't, as some people say, he doesn't necessarily know Call of Duty in and out like some of the other general managers in the league. Could they be swayed by fan opinion, and could that be influenced to some degree by what the desk says? But there's of course a balance on the desk between well, actually talking about stuff and creating some storylines and saying, look, this team has been struggling, this player has been struggling, so that when they have a great series, it creates a great storyline, right? And if the desk didn't create that, then well, it'd be a very boring environment to watch, quite frankly. But there's certainly maybe a line to be drawn between well, going too far and actually having a direct impact on how well a player's career is going to do by taking a bad event or something and blowing it out of proportion, so that the fans and then the teams themselves don't look at them in the same way. It's a tough line to be drawn. Very intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well and help grow the Call of Duty competitive community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.